I've been a longtime fan of DC pretty much since I was a kid. I grew up on the Justice League Unlimited show, the Batman 2004, still to this day, my favorite Batman TV show. Argue with your mama about it. I think it's the best one. I love it. Teen Titans and Static Shock. Dude, I grew up on DC. I never missed an episode of them when they would come on TV. And even in my own adult life, I've pretty much gone back and watched all these shows at one point or another from start to finish. Hell, I even watched like the DC animated movies with the interconnected universe that was honestly just Batman and Friends, if you really think about it. Like, that's how thirsty I was for DC content. I remember seeing those movies being advertised, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna watch that. Batman and Robin, or Batman versus Robin, I was there for that. Batman Bad Blood, I was there for all that. Bro, I was there for all of that. The Tomorrowverse, I was there for all of that. So needless to say, I've been hoping and wishing for a DC cinematic universe that can actually compete with the MCU. And Snyder Boys, that wasn't it. It wasn't. The DCU was not it. I was hopeful for that too. It wasn't it. So the switch over to James Gunn, with that, I was very hopeful. I mean, the Suicide Squad, at least to me, was great. It was a great movie. And now the writer and director of that is going to helm the entire universe. So I was like, I'm hyped for it. Now, though, I can't lie, I've been feeling somewhat doubtful of the future of the DCU. So in today's video, I want to address these concerns. First, by looking at the projects that we've gotten so far and the ones coming up. Then discussing what I believe the DCU needs to do to survive. I have to fight sometimes not to say DCEU. So with all the preamble out the way, let's get it done.
Who said they deserve one?
Come with it then!
An all-new episode of Justice League Unlimited.
So starting off, I do want to say that I thoroughly enjoyed Superman 2025. I think it was a great movie and was honestly exactly what I believe that the DC cinematic universe needed to kick things off, especially off the backs of the projects that we've been getting up until that point, with the previous regime. And it generally brought a sense of inspiration and positivity to the DC universe that I think we were missing for so long, because for some reason, all the projects before were just filled with so much cynicism and like, I hate the world kind of vibes, bro. How do you make Superman depressing? That's a genuine question. It's Superman. That's like making Spider-Man like super depressing. Like, I know that Spider-Man be going through it, but the point is that he's hopeful the whole time, and he's gonna make it through it. And I do understand that DC can be dark and gritty at times, but that's not Superman. And believe me when I tell you this, that I used to be one of those kids. I was like, oh, like DC's the more mature one, like Marvel's like for kids and yada yada yada. But bro, looking at it now, no, Superman is the hero you look to in times of hopelessness. And ironically, the character people attribute most to cynicism, Batman, up until that point, was probably the most hopeful project that they had. With the end of Matt Reeves' Batman in that one scene where Batman's like, oh, I don't need to be vengeance. I need to be hope for the city and all that kind of stuff. Like, how is it that the Batman was the most hopeful project that you had until Superman, bro? So needless to say, Superman was a breath of fresh air in terms of tone, and I think it did a phenomenal job of establishing a very lived-in world. Superheroes at this point are just commonplace. They have hero teams, although corporate, which is a commentary in the movie itself. It's a commentary on heroism, but I personally enjoyed it, that commentary. And Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor was fantastic. Regardless of how you feel about this movie, the casting for it was phenomenal. That was amazing. Holt and Corn Sweat are literally those characters brought to life. Nicholas Holt, that's literally Lex Luthor, bro. That's Lex Luthor down to the T. And David Corn Sweat, that's if you just took Superman off the page. You just took Superman off the page, and he's right there. And I also think Supergirl, even though people didn't quite like it, was a great foil to this movie, because people often think that Kara is supposed to be just as hopeful as Clark because she wears the S and she's Supergirl, but why would she be? It wouldn't make sense for her character. She watched her planet get destroyed after knowing it, right? She lost everyone and all the memories that she had there. Clark was just from Krypton. He never lived there, so he never had any real attachment to it. All that kind of comes in his adult life with discovering his heritage, going to the Fortress of Solitude, and all that kind of stuff. By all standards of measurement, physiology and birth aside, Clark is an Earthling. That's where he grew up. So Kara being cynical and more ruthless than Clark makes sense, you know? And I will admit that the villain was a bit lackluster and forgettable. The themes of the movie, fantastic. Loved it. You know, the whole human trafficking angle and all that kind of stuff. Don't love human trafficking, but I love when movies tackle that stuff, especially superhero movies, because those are real things that do happen in those worlds. I don't know how many of you watch Young Justice, but Young Justice, that's a whole other topic. But one big major plot point for, I think it was season 3 and season 2 and threaded all throughout the rest of the seasons, was the whole human trafficking of metahumans. And that's not what's going on here, but I do think that they did that very well, right? And one thing I will say is that I do wish that the movie was definitely a little bit more colorful, especially looking at the comic that it was based on. It was a very colorful comic. So it was a little bit weird seeing it be a bit, how do we say, marvelized, you know, grayed out, drowned out, that kind of stuff, right? I don't want to keep throwing shots at Marvel in this video. So we're going to get back to the DC stuff, but Peacemaker though, Peacemaker is where I started having problems with the DCU. Look, I love John Cena and he's phenomenal as Peacemaker. I know I've been saying phenomenal a lot, but bro, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Why is the major overarching story of your universe being set up in Peacemaker of all places? And don't even get me started on Rick Flag Sr., bro. I'm so tired of Rick Flag Sr. I do not care about Rick Flag Sr., bro. And this is where my main problem is starting with the DCU. The projects and the purpose of them. I watched Peacemaker because I personally like watching all superhero media just because I like that stuff. I'm a nerd. I'm really into that stuff. But this is supposed to lead into Man of Tomorrow. And I couldn't fault anyone for saying that they haven't watched Peacemaker because before the Suicide Squad, Peacemaker was legit like a D-list, maybe a C-list villain, bro. So I'm not gonna fault anybody who's gonna be like, oh yeah, I never watched Peacemaker before Man of Tomorrow. And then there's Clayface, which again, look, the trailer looks great. And I'm sure it's gonna be a fantastic movie. But a Clayface movie before a Batman movie, bro, it's insane. Haven't we learned from Sony and them in their villain verse movies? Look, I know they were all just doing a villain. No, it's kind of giving the same thing, man. Like Sony, I know they never had a Spider-Man in there, and they were never going to introduce Spider-Man in there. And I know we're supposed to get a Batman eventually, sometime, but a Clayface movie before a Batman movie, bro. You know, I'm all for experimental and off-the-wall movies and projects. This is why I was excited when Gunn was announced as the head of DC Studios. And I know that they're going off what script is ready first, as they say, but we haven't even heard anything about a Batman casting, bro. I don't know how many years it's been. We haven't heard anything about a Batman casting. You know, I don't want this universe to end up being a collection of odd projects with the occasional main DC character name thrown in somewhere, which is what it's starting to feel like, which is where I have my problems. Peacemaker should not be a main character of your universe over the likes of Batman and Wonder Woman, which don't even get me started on Wonder Woman, bro. Don't even get me started. I can't tell you the last time I heard anything about that movie. And I stay on top of those things, bro. I'm on Twitter. I'm on all the websites, like looking out for news on these things. Haven't seen any. Just to put like Batman or Wonder Woman. Haven't seen anything. The only thing I've heard about Batman is Matt Reeves' Batman, which I'm so hyped for. Phenomenal. Gonna love it. Batman Part 2. Can't wait. You know, I can't tell you, again, the last time I heard anything about these projects. The only other project I have some interest in, that wasn't it. There's some aspects of it that I'm not looking forward to as much if I think they're going the route that they're going. But, you know, the DCU, as it is now, especially with the change in parent company, again, needs to do something, or we're just going to end up with another reboot in 10 years or something, bro. And I don't want that, because I do think what we have going so far in terms of casting and quality of the stories being told, I like them. So I kind of want them to lock in and be like, yo, yeah, what we're doing is really cool, but we need to make some money, which is what keeps these franchises afloat, you know? So piggybacking off of this, let's talk about what I think they need to do.
Toonami presents an all-new original series starring every superhero worth cheering for, and then some. Justice League Unlimited.
Before getting to this next section of the video, I do want to say thank you guys so much for the support on the last few videos. You guys have been going crazy. You know, you've really been engaging with the content, like quality engagement with the content, and I've got way more coming, so please continue commenting, liking, and if you aren't subscribed already, I hope this is the video that you do that. It really does help the channel out, and you guys are helping to make a long time dream of mine come true. Now, let's get back to it.
The League is now accepting new members.
Now, where am I exactly?
Among friends, Justice League Unlimited, premiering.
So getting into this next section of the video, I'm going to sound like the most cookie cutter YouTuber when it comes to talking about the DCU. I will admit I'm not ashamed of it, because yes, I do think, and still do to this day, the first 3 projects of the DCU should have been a Superman, Batman, and a Wonder Woman project. After the catastrophic failure that was the DCEU and them trying to scrap it and put it together to go into some new thing, because bro, there was a point where we were just getting Harley Quinn movies. Like there was they literally renamed Birds of Prey to be a Harley Quinn movie, and they reworked it to be a Harley Quinn movie, bro. That's the state that we were in, because those are the only characters that were working. And we got a Peacemaker TV show, bro. Like that, those are the things that were working at the time. You're literally, Harley Quinn's not obscure, but your obscure characters are what are being greenlit over Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman at the time, bro. Like there was a good bit we had a faceless Superman. We didn't even, Ben Affleck was rumored to be Batman back again, and he came back and it was a waste of time. They were gonna bring back Michael Keaton, bro. He's like 80. And look, I liked Michael Keaton as Batman, but bro, what do we do? We didn't have a Wonder Woman. The only person from the original Snyderverse that was still here, that was still going, was Jason Momoa, bro. And you should have just made him Lobo in the first goddamn place. Making him Aquaman was crazy. I love this Aquaman. It was fun, but that wasn't Aquaman. That was just Jason Momoa playing Aquaman. Or just, yeah, like that wasn't, you know what I mean. And I'm never one to prioritize profits over art, but at this point, I definitely think both should have been taken into account when greenlighting these projects. DC projects were flopping left, right, and center due to the lack of faith audiences had in the brand, but even more than that, the lack of interest in what was being done with the brand. I'm not saying you need to go the MCU route, but genuinely at this point, I believe the DCU needs to play it safe. It needs to play it as safe as possible. And I'm sorry, but Clayface is not playing it safe, bro. It's not. I love weird, try something new types of movies in the superhero medium, especially because, the superhero medium can get a little bit stale, because yes, I do believe guy punch guy gets tiring after a while. I mean, look at Marvel. They were just churning out slop of guy punch guy and hope for the best, which has ended them up where they are currently. And, Spider-Man Brand New Day was great. Thunderbolts was great. The only one I'm not looking forward to is Avengers, but that's not what this video is about. If you want to experiment with your movies or your projects, I believe this is something that has to be earned. You need to earn the audience's trust before you do this. The DCU has not earned this yet, which it does suck, is something I have to say, because, don't get me wrong, I think it's horrible that a Batman, Wonder Woman, or Superman movie can't have a bit of experimentation to it before people complain about it. I do think all superhero movies, or just movies in general, you can have a safe movie every now and again, but I do think we need to be pushing the boundaries of what is really a movie, or the storytelling aspects of a movie. But we can't afford it at this point. Give those 3 a movie, please, for the love of God. And then maybe instead of jumping straight into a Justice League movie, have a Trinity movie that sets up the overarching story of your chapter, is what James Gunn calls them, for your gods and monsters. Give us more time to really get to know these characters and to care about them. Then, depending on how these movies go, which by that point we should have 4, with the Trinity one, you can start experimenting. Maybe you can even roll those experiments over into the Justice League. The Justice League starting roster does usually look a certain way, I will admit, just because of how it's been portrayed in pop culture and different mediums and all that kind of stuff. Like, you have a general idea of who's on the Justice League, but you can experiment with it a little, though. That's when you start setting up lesser known characters for a bigger role in your story. Justice League Unlimited. If you want to go straight into Justice League Unlimited, honestly, I'm not going to fault you. You can still have your core characters and then just be like, oh yeah, but we have a whole network of the Justice League going on, yada, 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 around and all that kind of stuff. Fun fact, the Justice League is who you think the Avengers are, or the Justice League is who you think the MCU Avengers are. Literally almost every single person is on the Justice League. Justice League Unlimited. It's called Unlimited for a reason. Not everybody's a part of the Avengers. Just putting that out there, right? The DCU, in my opinion, needs to really tighten up about where it's going. If we're doing one-off stories at the moment, then sure, I'm cool. Love those, but they gotta be good. But do that with characters general audiences will go to see. I personally will be there for these one-off projects, because I enjoy them. They're for people like me. That's the thing though. People like me aren't the general audience, and that's not to put myself above anybody else. I just know that I truly love movies and going to the theater. So I will go see some weird movie that has caught my attention. Like, that's me. Like, what's that one movie with Zazie Beetz from forever ago that didn't do well? It flopped. I went and I watched that. I enjoyed the movie. I ain't gonna say it was a great movie, but you know, I went and I watched it. Those are the type of people that'll go and see these movies, right? And again, those movies flopped for a reason, you know? You need to get the mom of 3 who's getting off work for her kid, all her kids, to convince her to go see the movie. Because if one of them is like, oh yeah, mom, I want to go see the Clayface movie, I promise you she's not going to be like, oh yeah, let's all go see the Clayface movie because this one kid wants to go see the Clayface movie. Maybe she'll, and also it's rated R, so he can't even go to see it anyways. If the other 2 want to go do something else, they're probably going to do something else. But you know, that's just my assumption. I'm not a mother of 3, not a single mother of 3. But I want these projects to succeed. I want to see more Batman, Superman, and maybe even the eventual Detective Chimp movie along the line, right? But we need to prove these characters can be profitable and handled well on the big screen before we get to those things, man. Please, James Gunn, you can do it. Stop letting the gun jam, bro. They're saying you're a fraud. Please, lock in. But that's the video, though. You know, let me know what you guys think down below. How you feeling about the DCU so far and what they've been doing, you know? If you enjoyed the video, you know, please comment down there. Let me know. And if you did make it this far into the video, you enjoyed it, just want to let you know that. So please consider leaving a like and subscribe. It really does help the channel, and you're helping me achieve a dream. But that's it. I'll see you in the next one. I love you. Goodbye.